Hello, and welcome to a Porcelain Perfect Finish episode of the Drywall Podcast. I am your host, Nick Harmon. With us today, we have Jeff Hains out of Hartford, Connecticut, or close to Hartford, for his first appearance on the show. Jeff is a baby-faced 29-year-old with a grasp on the properties of mud that are unmatched. We talk about his meager beginnings in the drywall trade and how the Muddskip product really catapulted his business, but we also may have stumbled upon a new name for his company. Guy. So shout out,
Guy.
Shout out to Guy. And then tell me your business name really quick, because I'm like, I should have did that like very first.
It's all right. So locally, I just go under my name, Jeff Hains.
Okay.
I'm still kind of ironing out what we want to be and how we want to be called.
Dude, I already have it. Porcelain Perfect Finish. That's your
like
business.
That, actually. Yeah, that's a good one. I can't believe I didn't think of that. I've been using
PPF.
that a lot.
We're the
Yeah, no, I
PPF,
like that.
sucker.
Yeah, that's actually, it reminds me of PPG paints. So I think it goes it's in line with that.
Yeah, the acronym's good. The acronym's good.
Yeah,
it's just $500. I've already bought the domain just before we jumped on the show. So $500 for the domain. And,
I hope you can.
I'll throw in a free shirt. We discuss the intricate dynamics of removing popcorn, and we get into the chemistry of encapsulation and what that means. But then Jeff started asking me challenging questions about what the hell fresco harmony is, and I couldn't help but to oblige him, obviously. This episode is an exploration into what joint compound is and the chemical makeups, and we go beyond, and it is definitely for the drywall professional, but if you're not a drywall professional, you might enjoy it too. Today's episode and all of the episodes of the Drywall Podcast in the month of November are brought to you exclusively by the folks at Muddskip. As I've stated, they've been huge supporters of Fresco Harmony and the Drywall Podcast, and have helped me ever since I interviewed Sheila Cross, owner of Muddskip, way back on episode 120. It's actually pretty good. You should check it out if you are inclined. I'm also doubly excited because Muddskip happens to be a product that I use, and I used it on the last job I was on. I was neck deep in some atrocious texture, and a little scoop of their level 5 product gave my batch of Fresco Harmony the girth it needed to tackle the hardest of substrates. I swear, I'm addicted, and now I have to have it in every batch of Fresco Harmony I mix up. I've also heard some amazing feedback from industry leaders who use Muddskip every day and are touting their accolades, but don't take my word for it. You can find out more by visiting their website, www.muddskip.com. That's 2Ds, MUDDSKIP.com. Go check it out. But for now, my newest friend and guest on the Drywall Podcast, Jeff Hains out of Hartford, Connecticut, with his first appearance on the Drywall Podcast, episode 152. How the hell did that happen? Let's get into it. What's up, bud?
Oh, not too much. How about yourself?
Nothing. I like that long hair.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I like your setup.
Have you had long hair for a while?
Oh, trying to think. Probably like 10 years now. So we're going on a while. I went through that initial awkward phase.
Yeah.
18 to 19, about a year long. And I've hesitated to cut it that short again because I never want to live through the awkward phase.
Yeah, it's a bitch.
Oh, it was. Did you have longer hair as well?
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, you know the struggle. It's it's not the most enjoyable.
Recently, I almost made it through the awkward phase. It was like down to here.
Oh yeah,
But she was cutting it underneath, and I didn't want that. I wanted it long all over, which is a different journey.
Ironically, the closer you get to having it look good, the worse it looks. So it's this real struggle.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, I like it. I always tie it back now. because with work and everything, it's just easier to keep it maintained that way. I can't say it's the lush hair that everybody imagines. Drywall dust has its way with long hair.
Yeah,
But yeah, it works. So
it works.
yeah. It's funny. It's um I'm not surprised you had long hair because you were a soccer player. So that works.
Yeah.
That
Well, and
makes
I'm
sense.
old enough that a I had a oh no, this gonna see what happens if I wait too long into the morning and the
Yep.
coffee. I forget words. The long hair in the back, the long hair in the back with the party up front, the
Oh
party in
yeah,
the
the mullet.
back, business, the mullet. Jeez
Mullet,
Louise.
yes. My wife wants me to get
If
that.
I can't remember the word mullet, we're gonna have a rough show. It's gonna be rough because I love
Well,
mullets.
the too much party in the back, too much party. So now it's a
Yeah.
business. So hey, it's a kind of a silly question. I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to look. Should I look at your little icon area or my camera or at myself?
That is a great question.
Because I don't want it to look like
When I'm talking, I look at you. I
okay,
mean,
that's where
that's
I'm looking. I'm looking
yeah.
at you right now. That
And
feels
it,
natural, but
yeah, yeah,
all right, cool.
yeah. I mean,
Cool.
sometimes I check myself to make sure, like, so also another thing that I do is I cheat to this side
Mm-hmm.
because when I go to edit, this side is on the near side.
All
And
right, okay.
so I want the people closer together. But I think, yeah, you cheat towards the middle and then I can crunch it down better.
Okay, cool.
But there's a lot of
Cool.
weird little tricks and stuff.
Oh, there definitely are. Hey, how do you did you guys win your game? You had it last Saturday? Well, a few days ago, I think. Or no, no, it was on like a
When
Thursday.
Wednesday?
Or Wednesday, yeah. It's hard. Time's flying by.
No, played against a baller team. They're like the best in the league, but it was good. It was tight. It was 7-4. So it
Yeah.
wasn't too bad. Yeah, we played them. We played them.
Now that's indoor soccer or it was outdoor?
It's outdoor. It's a smaller field,
Yep.
7v7. It's a little smaller field. The goals are a little bit undersized, but it's fun.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's
that sounds
like,
like a good
yeah.
time.
Yeah, it is. You can still cross it. There's out of bounds. It's different than indoor.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's fun. Like you can rip it from half line
Oh,
pretty
nice.
easily. Like so you got the
Yeah,
18
yeah.
yard box and then you've got, you have room to roam, but it's 7v7. It's fun for sure.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time. My brothers, they want me to play. I haven't played in years, and
Go play, dude.
I was never that great. I was good at defense. I take it more so as football than soccer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of
So
course.
little bit of that. But yeah, we may play. We may play. We do a lot of indoor soccer here. Obviously, it gets much
Yeah,
colder in the winter.
we do
But
too. It's
we have
fun.
a big arena right near us. It's like maybe 10, 15 minutes away. And
Perfect.
it works out well. Yeah. So we'll see. My brother's a painter. Um, and so he's actually who I learned to paint from, but it's his team and my other brothers. So oh, go ahead.
We're getting into the drywall a little bit via the painter's access.
Exactly. Exactly. And as Sheila says, all the best drywallers she knows were painters. Although I still don't really consider myself a drywall. I think like the word finisher
Huh.
makes sense. Um, because it's kind of like a whole wall unit, right? Or ceiling unit or what have you.
Yeah.
Just getting it from A to Z from where, the customer looks at it and they're like, this isn't ready until when they're like, all right, give me the keys, go home.
Fun fact, it's the appropriate title is drywall finisher. They taught me
Yep.
I learned that in the union. It's not,
Ah, okay.
there's drywall hanger, there's drywall finisher.
That's very true. It's almost like two separate trades a lot of times.
People say taper, but that's not correct.
Well, maybe that explains, the current mindset where it's just get the tape up, so taping, and then that's it. The rest is kind of negotiable. A lot, right? Just get
Maybe.
the finishing, just tape and paint.
We've got a lot to talk about, and I haven't
Yep.
even introduced you yet. We've got Jeff Hains out of
Connecticut.
Connecticut. You might be our first Connecticut person.
There's a good chance. There's not, I don't often run into people from Connecticut. It's kind of an odd state in that sense. It's right in between, Boston, New York.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool over there. And then what part of Connecticut?
So I live right in Hartford County. I'm in a little hamlet called Canton. More officially, I guess it's part of the Farmington Valley. It's like a connected area of suburbs, maybe like 7 or 8 little towns. So
Okay.
it's not quite a city, but it's got enough work to keep us busy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. And then I found out about you and then your age real quick.
29, 29,
29. Okay, you're a
closing in
little
on
older.
30.
I met you recently at the Dallas Build Live show. I was hanging out there with the Tape Tech people, and I did a small pilgrimage over to a really good barbecue place. Right? Like that was
Oh
pretty
yeah,
good.
that place is awesome. That was
Yeah, and
awesome.
I forget the name of it, but it was good. Call
I think it was
Jamie was
Babes.
there. Babes. And
Yep, it was called
you
Babes.
were hanging out. You were hanging out with Call Jamie for whatever reason. Sheila and Paul had you guys running around doing
Yep.
stuff for Muddskip. We're going to get to that. And we got to meet. And Sheila, though, was your proponent. She was like, "You got to
Yeah.
interview this. You got to interview this person. You know, he's great." And we started talking. I was like, "Oh yeah, you'd be a good interview." So here we are. Have you listened to any of the podcasts since we met?
I listened to not since we met. No, not since we met in about a week ago. No.
But
I did
you have listened to some.
I listened a little bit to the one with Sheila. She sent it to me because I to
Okay.
backtrack a little. A little self-advertiser there. I called
Yeah.
her originally for Muddskip back in I think it was April. Time's flying. And
Yeah.
she directed me to that because I think right around then you guys filmed that.
Oh. Oh,
Near
okay.
there.
Yeah.
So I listened to that a little bit, and that's how I started to meet everybody. Until actually April, I had no social media for work or anything. Um,
Okay.
so I was kind of just, in the weeds, just working, so to speak. And I didn't really pop my head up until I found Muddskip. And then it kind of just unraveled this whole ball of yarn where
Yeah.
now, I'm meeting people like yourself,
Yeah.
and just kind of going down that journey.
It's cool. But let's rewind a little bit more. How
Yep.
did you get into the trade? It's a unique trade, and I always ask if you're first generation.
No, nope.
No.
So
You're following in footsteps.
yeah,
Okay.
I can't necessarily say, so we'll start with my dad. So my father, he's closing in, he just turned 74 now. And he was in sales for a really long time. He did printing sales throughout the 80s and 90s. And then at a certain point, he was just like, what, I'm done with this. And he wanted to do home flipping. So he did maybe 3 or 4 projects, and then some of the people he'd met, they were like, "Hey, can you come and do work at our house? It's not a flip, but can you come work for us? We like what you did." And so that's how he started. I was just born. He was around like 45, I think. And he's just kind of meandered his way into a business where he did a lot of painting, drywall repair, kitchens and bathrooms in our local community. And then another interesting and important fact is my parents. I think they've been married just over 51 years, and they had 4 boys, so I'm the youngest.
Okay.
And the oldest 2 boys are, actually one's right above you, one's right beneath you in age. The one beneath you, Greg, is who I play soccer with, and who is a painter around here. So I was actually trained by both Greg. I first went and painted with him, and then also my father kind of stole me from him after I'd been with Greg for 2 or 3 years. And then that's where I learned more of the drywall side of things. So in culmination, Greg was a painter, my father, bit of a jack of all trades. And then leveraging both of their skill sets, it's kind of brought me to where I am now.
Nice.
So not first generation or second generation in the sense that my dad didn't do it his whole life from 16 to 70. But somehow one way or another we've kind of stumbled our way into this.
Yeah, Greg, I mean, you have three older brothers. Greg
Yep.
is the oldest,
Second oldest. Second oldest.
second oldest, and the other two are not in construction.
No, they are not. One's in pharmaceutical sales and another is in car sales. So
Okay,
lots of
excellent.
sales.
Yeah, sales. But Dad wasn't a drywaller. Greg was.
No, nobody was a drywaller. My father pretty much, nobody's truly self-taught in the sense that obviously there's always key
Yeah,
mentors that help out. But self-motivated for sure. He did not need to leave his job or learn how to do any of this. He just wanted to. He loved
yeah,
fixing up homes. So he taught himself how to do a lot of it. And then
yeah,
I was able to learn a lot through him. And then honestly, even just meeting people like yourself, a lot of the Muddskip people, I've been
yeah.
able to learn a lot through them as well.
But
Um,
you like you went for drywall. Like you like that specific skill set. Are you
I
now
do.
currently doing a lot of other things, or are you more like refining down into just drywall finishing?
So it kind of in an overarching manner, where we live, it's primarily built out. So everything is remodel work, 80% of the time. There is some new builds down at the shore if you get that occasional multi-million dollar home. So a lot of our work order is a combination of painting and drywall repair. And then
Okay.
we have a lot of popcorn texture as well. But point being, if you want to call somebody because you have a damaged ceiling and you got to hang a few sheets of drywall, it's not really convenient to call one of the few large drywall crews because they don't want to do it. And then painters
Right.
don't know how to do it. So that's
Right.
kind of where we fit in. So part and parcel with that, we still do some kitchen remodels, we still do some bathroom remodels, but our bread and butter for a number of years now has been popcorn removal and then new drywall and painting, mostly on the residential side. But in lieu of that, once we found Muddskip, it was really able to kind of ignite our, I guess, some just efficiency. And now we're able to take on probably 20 to 30% more work in terms of drywall related things. And
Okay.
then, leading all that together, I'd say probably 50 to 60% of my time is taping. And the thing I like about it, not to just go on tangents, I love
It's okay.
working with my hands. So we do a lot of hand
Yeah.
taping. I use a sprayer, and there's a lot of similarities to painting. So that's why I was joking earlier, it's more so just overarch finishing,
Yeah.
because there's so much similarity between the two trades.
And this whole mud skip aspect, I mean, let's talk about how you found out about it. And were you skeptical? So you saw it on maybe on social media because you're new to social media too. I want to talk about that if you're like trying to build that out at all, because I don't see a whole lot from Jeff on social media, but that might be
It's
changing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's far and few between. We're
Yeah.
slowly working on it. We were doing quite a bit there for a while, and then the thing about working on a construction site is I think I dropped my gimbal maybe 10 or 12 times, so I gotta get another one now. Um, but
Wait,
I
what's a gimbal?
I put my phone in the DJI gimbal, and then I can kind of move around, and that's
Okay,
how
all right.
I take our videos. But to answer your question, I think it was bring your own tools because I am on YouTube a lot. I found Muddskip on that, and I want to say he was repairing his garage or something, and he was doing all these coats, and then he was like, "No sanding," and I was like, "Eh, I doubt it, but I'll buy
Right.
it back."
You're like,
Um,
whatever, dude.
yeah,
So, but
basically.
you bought a bag. You were like, I want to
Oh yeah.
try it. Okay.
I love trying stuff because I look at it just kind of like risk reward. I buy
Yeah.
the bag, it was like $30.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, okay, fine, business write-off, right? If it does
Yeah.
work, well then I'll feel really dumb for not trying it. So I kind of met it in the middle, right? I
Yeah.
bought the bag and then I forgot about it for like 3 months.
That's exactly what they do with Fresco Harmony, but it's like three
Yeah.
years. Like I'll send a sample pack out and then they put it in it's like a paperweight.
Oh yeah,
And then after they use it, they're like, I don't know why I waited like 4 years to use it. And I'm like, it's okay. Everybody does.
exactly. It's such an interesting psychological thought process too, because it really takes no effort to try something, but for whatever reason, we always delay trying new
Yeah.
things, even
Yeah.
if like I said, the risk reward is so asymmetrical, we just
Yeah.
delay.
And I'm the same way too. That's the irony. Like, even though I'm selling a product and I understand that in my heart of
Yeah,
hearts, I still do the same thing. I'll shit on new ideas that I haven't tried. And that's why too that I can relate with people that are skeptical or don't want to try something new. And even with Muddskip, man, I had to
Oh
like
yeah.
use it. It's weird with Fresco, but it's different. I had to use it like several times. Sometimes too in drywall, you can't just use something once. You have to like use it a
No.
few times to like really feel like it's right for you.
100%. And you got to do your due diligence. You got to feel comfortable with it. Partially, it's like finding the right job, right? Like you want to try it in an environment where you know that if something goes wrong, you can fix it. But then also you're able to put the screws to it a bit and see, what it can actually do.
Right.
And so it wasn't, I think I bought it like January 20th or something like that. And then we
Okay.
finally deployed it. It was right around the end or middle of March. Um, and kind of the light bulb moment, it was a popcorn removal. So I've got the Festool system. So we removed the popcorn in the bathroom and I gave it to one of my guys, Steve, and I was like, just give it a shot. Let me know what you think. I
I
didn't
gave it
tell
to
him.
I gave it to my guys too. Look,
Yeah.
I don't want to try it myself.
Oh, I
You
would have
do
tried
it.
it. I
You
just
do
this
it
was
and tell me.
Yeah, this was just the perfect scenario, and I trust him a lot. I mean, all my guys, but especially he's been with me the longest, and so he has an eye for it, and
Okay.
he starts texting me, and he's like, "This stuff's great," and I hadn't given him any like clue as to what it would do. He read the bag a little, but he didn't see the
Okay.
video that I saw. He's like, "This
Okay.
stuff is great." He was like,
Wait. Which
Oh.
video was it that you saw?
I think it was the Bring Your Own Tools one. BYOT, I think, did a video.
Oh, okay.
Um, it was like a garage repair. But so he had no contacts. He just tried it.
Okay.
Um, and he started texting me and he's like, it came out really smooth. And he was like, I was able to do like a higher build coat. I
Yeah.
was like, well, that's interesting. And
Sure.
then
And that's essential for the popcorn removal
yeah,
aspect because you have this really even after you've removed the popcorn, you have a shitty finish underneath the
exactly.
popcorn, and then you have probably little bumpiness with the popcorn. So you've got to do a nice float over that
100%.
removed popcorn. It's a good situation for Muddskip.
It's honestly, I don't want to say we, I was just got saying hi, I like what I do. I don't want to say we would quit a lot of the drywall work, but before finding, a lot of the equipment and products that we now have in the last couple of years, it was a pretty arduous task. If you're pole sanding with all purpose, you got to wear respirators, there's dust everywhere, you don't have the luxury of a Festool sander, a Mark V sprayer to apply the mud skip for smooth. There's all these
Yeah.
things that we can accumulate
I would
now.
call it a nightmare. Like
Yeah, it was.
even when you do have like all of those faculties at your disposal, it's still really difficult to remove popcorn. And I think
Oh
people
yeah,
consistently underbid that shit.
yes. There's so much to know about it. Like I'll out to a house and they're like, "You're something of a specialist," and I'm like, "No, I've done enough where, like you said, it's just terrible to be on the wrong side of it." And then, the thing I find with that, especially, which is why Mudskip speaks to it so well, is people want their house back. The number one thing I hear is, "Oh, how messy is it going to be?" And I'm like, "Well, it's not going to be that messy." And then a lot of people have said before, "Oh, well, I have a sander or whatever, so it's dustless." And it's like, well, it's not dustless. But
Right.
now I can say, if it's got to be a super clean home, I can't tell them we're just going to polish it. We're not going to sand it. Do I do that everywhere? No, but we do it a lot of dining rooms, like 12 by 12 rooms, where the ceiling we can strip it and then just skim it with mud skip and then polish it smooth. Those come out great. In fact, the reason I called Sheila is so we did that bathroom I was talking about
Yeah.
where Steve tried it and he was like, "Oh, this stuff's pretty good." And I was like, "All right, well, give me that. I'm gonna try it now." And
Yeah.
then
Get out
so
of here, rookie.
yeah,
Give it to
yeah.
the
Well, not a
expert.
rookie, but I was like, "All right, let me, it passed the test." So then then
Get
I
to
tried it.
the next level of management.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going up the management scale. So then I tried it and I was like, interesting. Like I was like, because the first thing you notice when you're hand taping is it kind of gels together, whereas it feels like regular compound is stray. So when you manipulate it, it doesn't necessarily go where you want it to go. I think of it like playing FIFA and you're trying to pass the ball to one guy and then it goes to another guy. That's how I find a lot of DIY people, painters, people newer to taping. That's how they feel. They're trying to make the mud do a certain thing and it doesn't.
Yeah.
But with Muddskip, it definitely expedites that process and makes it easier. So I was like, all right, this is pretty cool because I've been doing it for a while. Steve had been doing it for a while, but we've got some newer guys who have not been doing it for a while.
Okay.
Um, it passed my test, and then we had this huge job. I say huge, it was like six ceilings, and
Sure.
we were like, all right, we're gonna really, try it now. So at that time I had a Titan 1040T texture sprayer.
Now, how did
Um,
you purchase it at that point in time? Because you've got a large amount of sealing to do. Did you just say, screw it, I'm going to buy a bucket?
not at
And
that point.
which kind? The question that always comes to my mind is like they've got the heavy, they've got the
Yep.
smooth, and they've got the conditioner. And I kind of know the differences now.
Mhm.
But I'm always like, to just have one. It's like I feel like
Yep.
it's confusing for my drywall brain. But what were
It
you
can be.
using? And then you probably just bought a bucket, or were you using the conditioner? Let's talk
I
about that.
used so I was not even to your point, I didn't know about the conditioner yet. It really
Okay.
I remember looking at the website and I was like, I'm quite confused what the conditioner is, so I'm not going to use
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to use the level 5 bags because I was like, if I really like the bags, we're just going to get a bucket, but not yet. My big anxiety was, is it going to spray? Because I would apply all the compound on our ceilings with the airless sprayers. On this
And
job, I was still using a Titan,
you're
but now I have
still
a
you're
Graco.
buying it at this point, or has Sheila like have they started to like recognize
So,
your
So now, for a while now, I've been, I guess you would call sponsored or kind of affiliated with them, so I don't have to
okay,
purchase it directly.
okay,
But I bought a fair amount, I would say, before that
okay,
kind of kicked in.
okay.
We were still in the courtship period. Um, but whether, because that question does always come up, would you still buy it? And it's like, well, yes, I
Yeah,
would.
yeah,
And my very simple reasoning is time alone. Let's say I have a 5-man crew and job's half hour away. So I got
okay.
to have five guys go half hour, from, each way. So 5 hours total. And so that right there, a bucket of Muddskip is, I don't quote me exactly, but I'm gonna guess it's somewhere between like 350 and 400. Um, so for the cost of one day's screw up, meaning let's say I go to a job and it's not dry or whatever, I can buy one bucket of Muddskip and ensure that I'm able to recoat every skim coat we do, wet on wet. So if it's going to save me in one job, I'm not going to go through 20 bags probably in one house. It's at least going to save me in two jobs then, or maybe three. So my point is that
Right.
upfront cost inconvenience is immediately negated with the performance boosts of being able to do wet on wet, the bond. So
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer to me.
And how much Kwikset have people thrown out that
Oh,
you're using
a
the full
lot.
bat. That always comes back to Fresco Harmony as well
Yeah.
versus plaster systems. Plaster, sometimes you have to throw it out, whereas Fresco
Hmm.
Harmony, you can like if you use clean water and you use a conditioner because it helps with mold and mildew.
Yeah.
uh, It'll keep better. The mud will keep better, and with mud skip as well, it helps the mud keep a little better. So you're not wasting product, which is a big deal, especially with quickset. Because I'm like, I don't want to mix up a pan. It's never
Yep.
enough, and
Yeah.
I got to mix it up in a bucket. Like I'll mix up two-third or a third of a bucket of
Hmm.
quickset. Even a big patch. I just want to, because I don't want to have to mix up two pans because I'm wasting time.
Yeah. You
But
want to
then
be
there's
one and
always
done.
going to be waste. I don't care if I have to throw, a little bit out, but I'm still like those bags are like what, $15 or some shit,
Yeah. Oh
you
yeah, where
know?
I am, they're closer to 20. So there's
There you
definitely
go.
there's definitely waste. And those are things a lot of people will give pushback and be like, well, it's an added cost. And it's like,
Yeah.
do you look at your negative costs like waste, time, gas, just inefficiency? A lot of people seem to when they say it takes them X amount of time to do something, they leave 20% out because that's just an inconvenient, they say, oh, we'll get it next time. And by that I mean, if they have extra
Right.
touch-ups because they didn't skim it smooth enough, or they didn't tape it right, or this or that. There's like ghost costs that people don't fully realize are there until they start a process where those costs are gone. And then they're like, well, why am I spending more, but then I have more money in my pocket at the end of the job? And it's
Right.
like, well, because you're getting done 2 days earlier. The thing that really, like, we've done this work for a while at this point. I've been
Okay.
on my own doing this for, I think I did my first popcorn removal like 7 years ago.
Okay.
Um, and after a period, you get everything to look really good, and we're all word of mouth. So everybody expects a certain level of appearance at the end of the job, right? Certain level of quality. And so, not to say we hadn't gotten compliments in a while, but people, if they know you're LeBron James, they're not just going to keep telling you that, you're the best basketball player because they just kind of assume that. Not that we're at that level, but my point being, we did this house, all these ceilings with Muddskip, and it was the first time in a long time the customer kind of, it was like he came down the stairs and he just started looking at the ceilings and he was like, oh my God, he's like, these look amazing. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow. I was like, we haven't had a response like that in a while. And then he starts meandering through the rest of the house and he's just, smiling ear to ear. He's like, this looks better than I thought it would look. Which that's always a relief, right? And we
Like
really,
don't look too close, dude.
yeah, no, exactly. But well, that's the thing. I'm not gonna lie, I even told Sheila just the other day, that
Sure.
house, those ceilings, some of them I haven't been able to replicate it. They came out so good. We're pretty close to cracking the formula. Um,
Okay.
but
But you maybe did something on those ceilings that was extraordinary that like just really smoothed
it
them out.
was it was mind blowing for me. I did a dining room ceiling, like a 12 by 12 room. We removed the texture, but it was not like a regular popcorn. They were like plaster ceilings. So somebody had sprayed texture, over it at whatever point to try and hide stuff, but the underlying substrate was pretty suspect. Um,
Okay.
and we were able to do three skim coats. And not only did we get the ceiling flat, like, there's no valleys, but we got it smooth, and I didn't have to sand it before primer. We just polished the whole thing, and it would look immaculate. That's why I came up with the porcelain perfect finish, because you were looking at it and it almost looked like a spray finish, but it wasn't. And the conclusion that we came to there and what the customer loved, which I was going to say prior, is their house was, very minimal dust. And it's not just because we had the festival system, but it's because I didn't have to grind down the drywall. Like we
Yeah.
just literally we did the polish technique. And I just
With the conditioner, yeah.
So this, honestly, this was before conditioner. I didn't
So
know
you were
about it.
using water.
I just used, yeah, water in a mister bottle, and then I
Okay.
did a final super razor thin coat with Muddskip. And then as I went around the ceiling and I was doing each section, I would just mist the edges so it all blends in together.
Okay.
And
Was
what
your
I didn't
mud
realize,
was that razor thin coat? Was that real runny?
nope, nope. It's just you. I would say I don't have necessarily a context, but I would guess it's pretty much the same as what you'd want hand tape with, and or hand finish rather. I like
Okay.
it pretty stiff.
Yeah.
And so I'll use a fairly rigid trowel to apply it as well, because I'm really
Okay.
trying to just, it's paper thin. Um, but
Yeah.
what I didn't realize we had done is when we're misting, the mud skip, you're actually rehydrating it in a way where the underlying coat will now receive the next coat better. So instead of building up your coats of drywall mud like we're all used to, you're compressing your coats.
Right.
And so I think of it like a piece of aluminum foil or
Because
origami.
I kind of do that in fresco too. And so
Yeah.
I'm experiencing like this type of reaction. I'm not using it because there's different applications for Mudskip. There's like doing coat over coat if you're boxing, or there's doing
Hmm.
patchwork, or there's different applications. Fresco Harmony has its own application, and I see the same thing. It's like I'm just recognizing how it compresses onto itself. It's very
Yeah,
interesting, and how it goes on the base coat. Uh,
it definitely is. And circling back to something you said before, I was telling you I tried Copper Mountain in an area in
yeah.
my house, and I mixed that up. Oof. It was probably like in May. and
Okay.
it's still fine. I just checked it the other day. Um, so it's amazing.
Did
Now
you
that did
put
have
did you put the conditioner in that?
that had the conditioner,
Yeah.
Muddskip, and the Copper Mountain.
Yeah.
And it looks really cool down there. And it's a little area, but my house is
Yeah.
I've got one wall, it's lime wash. I got that. And then I guess I'm supposed to work on some other stuff as time permits.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
don't do too much fresco harmony at once, man.
but it takes on a life of its own.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my culminating thoughts with that one house we did was like, this is pretty special. I
Okay.
remember I was calling people and I was like, have you ever heard of anything like this? And my dad came over to the job and he couldn't believe that we didn't sand the ceiling.
Okay.
And I made sure I kept that secret fairly guarded compared to, like a lot of the other stores and contractors I knew because I was like, we got something here. I'm not sure what it is, but I never thought the day would come where we can do that,
Okay,
right?
so your initial reaction was like, "Don't tell anybody because I don't want other people doing the PPF, the porcelain perfect
Yeah,
finish,
right away. That was the initial
the
reaction.
the
Because I
coin,
didn't know
the
what happened.
The LeBron
Yeah, the
James
LeBron
finish."
James. And honestly, so then I called Sheila. I was all excited. And I was like,
Yeah,
I gotta call
cool.
these people.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about them. I just sent an email and I was like, I need to talk to you
Okay.
guys, blah blah blah. I need to figure out what's going on here. And so that's how I met them. And then
Well,
I
first you looked up the SDS sheet online. You made sure
exactly,
you
exactly.
got
I
a
did all
hard
my due
copy.
diligence.
You got a hard copy of
I
the
did all my due
safety data
diligence.
information
Um,
sheet. Yeah.
You know what I say with that, and it's not really a good answer, but sometimes people ask me like, is there asbestos in the work that we're doing? If we're removing or remodeling something. And I'm like, well, if there's not asbestos, there's going to be something else, and you just treat it like there is. So, um, I have air scrubbers now. Everybody's got respirators. We've got like this whole hazmat situation. Because I know,
Do you ever encapsulate though when it has
yes.
I encapsulate a lot, especially if they think it's going to have asbestos.
Yep.
It's kind of a bitch too because you're dealing with a super rough surface.
Hmm.
Although the Muddskip would be nice, and sometimes it'll want to pull down. It'll pull down in sections, and you can use like the glue. You can use spray
Yep.
glue, and you can also use quickset to just kind of hold it in place, and it'll sort of reactivate and hold it. But I haven't had anywhere like the ceiling has just fallen down. We're in a dry climate, but popcorn is a really interesting animal.
It
Uh,
is.
and
It
like so
is.
it's delicate when you get into the asbestos stuff because like you really don't want that going airborne, if you can
No,
help it.
and so like we had one recently, they had no asbestos in the popcorn, but they have it in the drywall mud, like for the tape coats.
Okay.
And they're like, well, what are we doing? It's like, well, I mean, I'm not going to get that far down anyways, because this particular job had been painted with oil primer.
Okay.
So you're basically just knocking off the high spots and then more or less encapsulating it.
Yeah.
To your point, though, when we know it's a code red, that's where like the painter aspect kicks in. I can encapsulate it. I'll go with like an oil primer from Benjamin Moore.
Yeah.
Um, they have a product called calcimine recoater, and we've had great success with that. But even just when we're remodeling a bathroom or something, it's like, well, I'm sure there's
What does that mean?
stuff in here.
Calcimine recorder.
So it's calcimine recoater. I actually don't
Recoder.
know entirely what it means. I do know that you want to wear a respirator with it.
Okay.
To beat something as bad as asbestos, you got to call in the big guns. And
Yeah.
it bonds to just about any ceiling I've ever done. I've never had an issue with it falling down.
So,
Um,
okay, so prior to doing an encapsulation coat, because in the past I would use Quickset to do that preliminary coat,
yep,
and then I would do Fresco Harmony over the top of that, seal it, call it good. Like
yep.
that's the way I do it. But you're saying use this uh,
Calcimine recoater.
calcimine recoder.
They use it
Um,
for a lot of smoke and fire damage. So it's also
okay,
got a stain blocker in it to some extent.
okay.
Um,
Do you think
but
that
what
would
I
work good over wood paneling?
for that for that there's another one which I would sometimes use. That's called cover stain. And
Okay.
Zinzer sells that. That stuff is aggressive. is the only word I can think of.
Cool.
Uh,
I've never heard of it.
yeah,
I
they
mean,
work great, and the reason I do that in conjunction with like you're saying quickset. So the thing I like about quickset mud is I feel like the humidity doesn't linger because it just kind of
okay.
sets.
Yeah,
And I'm not a
I
scientist
agree.
in this regard, but when I find if I do like, all purpose or +3 or what have you,
Yeah.
the moisture's got to go somewhere, right? So if the whole room is humid because you've put compound everywhere, it's probably not evaporating that way. So it's going to try to evaporate into the drywall, I find. And that's when, if I'm doing an encapsulation, I would start to see like bond issues or mud is mixing with the popcorn and it's going to fall down. So I'll reach for that oil primer and it'll seal the surface and then oil and water. So then the moisture doesn't, absorb that way. And so we have pretty good success with that. But once again, that leans into the painter side. I can kind of, get whichever tool set
I
I
like
need.
it. It's cool.
um, yeah, it definitely it helps in that regard. But then, circling back to, I guess the mudskip aspect to it, as a painter, I also really appreciate how when the job is done, there's a lot less dust. So I can sometimes I'm skimming ceilings, polishing, and then I've got guys painting trim already getting going. So I don't have a ton of cleanup. The customers love that. And then my favorite part about it is when I do the painting, because it's a closed cell system, I'm able to use a heavier nap roller. So I generally use a 9/16 nap. And what I really like is I'm able to get the paint on the wall in large volumes and then I can disperse it. But I don't get left with a heavy nap signature because the mud skip with the conditioner, it self seals the surface so the paint absorbs evenly. So it'll kind of self level, if you will, almost like a spray texture. Um, so when you use it all as part of one system, from A to Z, painting and drywall, combined finishing, you're able to get really nice results with it. Whereas if you're just a painter, it's hard to get that. If you're just doing the drywall, it's hard to get that. Um, but never before have I been able to center our process around a product and get those good results. And just the mess, that's the one that was a killer. And now I use
Yeah.
the air purifiers. They're more so air blowers than air cleaners, because things have just been so much cleaner lately. Um, but
Yeah.
I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, this has been illuminating. I mean, for me, hopefully for our audience, the Mudskip conversation comes up a lot. The biggest challenge I think with Mudskip is like, what the hell is it? What does it do? You've illuminated that conversation a lot. I appreciate it. And then your dad headhunted you and
Yep.
took you away from Greg. Greg and him probably got pissed off at each other. Yeah.
Somewhat. Not too bad though. That's one of the remarkable things is we're able
I
to get
want him.
along pretty well.
I want Jeff. No, he's mine.
Some family dinners that occurred, but then it
You're
kind of
fighting.
petered out.
They're fighting over Jeff because he's so good. But then at a certain point, you peeled off on your own. Was that challenging? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Um, it wasn't in the sense that ever since I was younger, honestly, I think it started when I was 12 or 13. I would print out flyers for landscaping or whatever other business idea I had.
Okay.
And I would go door to door in my neighborhood and I would hand them out. And I'd be like,
Yeah.
please
Nice.
have pity. So point is, I got told no a lot when I was 12 to
Ah,
18. So it made going out to quotes, certainly talking with people a little
yeah.
easier as a
You're
younger
developing those sales
entrepreneur.
chops, man, early on.
Yeah, it was, and I'll tell you, it's amazing how mean people can be to,
Yeah.
a 12-year-old when no one's
Sure.
watching.
Yeah.
So I got a very good crash course on the human side of things, or we'll call it the human element. But so point being is I was not afraid of hearing no. So I was willing to take some risks in that regard. And then I do have to give credit to my father and Greg. It started out with Greg would give me, if a job was a little too small for him, maybe it was a half a day or a 1 day thing. It's just easier to give it to me. So he would
Yeah.
have me go tackle that. And
Right.
then my father taught me, as I was mentioning, the ability to repair drywall, which we've certainly expanded on. But that's a really important skill around here. Nobody really wants to get that call. So Greg would give me all the drywall repair jobs. And then, through that, people would say, hey, I know a guy, blah, 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 you can call him. So honestly, it pretty much all spread through word of mouth. And then assuming my father's book, as he's kind of now moving more into retirement. So that's where we get a lot of our kitchen and bathroom
Right.
models still, is through his side of things. But
What's your
having
dad's name? Sorry.
Guy, that one's easy.
Guy. So shout out
Guy, Guy.
shout out to Guy. And
Yeah.
then tell me your business name really quick because I'm like I should have did that like very first.
That's all right. So locally, I just go under my name, Jeff Hains.
Okay.
I'm still kind of ironing out what we want to be and how we want to be
Dude,
called.
I already have it.
Um,
Porcelain Perfect Finish. That
yeah,
is your
I
that's
do
your
like that
business.
actually. Yeah, that's a
That's
good
your
one. I can't believe I didn't think of that. So I've
I
been using
already
that.
got it, buddy.
I've been using that a lot.
PPF. We're the
Yeah, no, I
PPF,
like that.
sucker.
Yeah, that's actually it reminds me of PPG paints. So I think it goes
Right.
kind of it's in
Right.
line with that. I might
Yeah,
have to take
the
that.
acronym's good. The acronym's good.
Yeah,
It's
it
just
is.
$500. I've already bought the domain
All right, perfect.
just before we jumped on the show. So $500 for the domain, and
Well, I hope you
and
can accept payment.
I'll throw in a free shirt.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't have one of those yet. So, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah, a fresco shirt.
yes,
I'll
yeah,
get you
not
one.
one of those yet. So, Porcelain Perfect Finish
Love it.
started 7 years ago, and now it's
Okay.
been realized. But yeah, a lot of it was word of mouth. We're still that way today. I've never advertised, thankfully. If I ever need to, I will. But we've been blessed with a really good network around us.
Yeah.
And then a lot of my guys, we just found, I don't want to say randomly. My favorite story is a gentleman, Roman, who works with us. And about a year ago, I was saying to my wife, I was like, we're going to need to hire somebody soon. There was three of us at the time.
Okay.
And she was like, well, where are you going to look? And I was like, I don't know. I looked on Indeed. They want like $400 a week or whatever. And I imagine the pool is not ideal.
Right.
So she was like, well, she's Polish. So she said to me, did you try the Polish work forums? And I was like, I've never heard of that. But where we live, there's a huge immigrant community of people from Poland, Ukraine,
Okay.
Eastern Europe.
All
So
right.
long and short, I put the ad out, and then the next day, Roman texted. And it's an employer's dream. So I'm talking with him. I'm like, do you have a car? And he's like, no, but I'll have one tomorrow. And then, and then,
Great.
then
Great.
yeah, then he texts me and he's like, well, I have the car, but it's not insured. And I'm like, all right. And he's like, it'll be insured within a week. Calls me the next day. The car is insured. When can I start? And I'm like, wow, this guy really
Yeah.
wants to work.
Beautiful.
And it really was. And then the rest is history. So he started, and then, well, actually, another part. The first day he started with me, we were doing a paint job, and he had to sand some walls down. And I wasn't sure how it would go. There was a little bit of a language barrier. We had to use a lot of Google Translate, and him being from Ukraine. And
Yeah.
so the customer and I were just watching him for a minute, and I just looked at the customer and I was like, well, this is Roman's first day, and based on what I'm seeing, he's trying to make a good impression. So your walls are going to be the best sanded walls in the town.
There you
And
go.
he stripped through like 4 layers of paint with the Plane X, and it was like so smooth. And he honestly he carries that baton to this day. He's the ceiling guy when it comes to sanding. He's
Okay.
like a bull. I actually my shoulder. I did so much of it a year ago on one job that it just never fully recovered. But now we got
Uh,
Roman, and he's quite a beast. But I can't say enough good things about my crew, the guys I work
Great.
with.
Good for
A
you.
lot of them are friends, and really that's gotten us to where we are today. It's hard to do
How
it on your own.
many? How many?
In total, right now, I've got my father who says he works for me now, and
Yeah,
then
good.
I got three other guys that work full time with me pretty much, and then one guy who's part time.
Okay. Sounds like a good crew, man. And you seem like an amazing, pretty chill boss. It's like,
I try to
it's
be, sometimes too
problems come
chill.
up. It's like whatever. Yeah, yeah. And also, I mean, you have to be chill though to a certain regard, but
Oh yeah,
also stern, if somebody's screwing up or whatever. But it sounds like you got some pretty good dudes,
they
so
keep
that's
me on
cool.
my toes.
Yeah.
Sometimes now I call it back talk, but they'll be like, maybe we should do it this way. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Maybe we should.
The only question that there is left is how come you're not doing more fresco harmony finish? And we
Well,
have to get because we have to do like we have to name a porcelain, Hains porcelain color.
yep.
Once you get into it, then you have to order a custom color. We can name it Hains porcelain. Somebody wants a custom white.
You do custom colors? I didn't realize that.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So that's good to know.
they're 125. Well, they're kind of it's fun, like fun fact of the custom color. They're
Yeah.
120 because not everybody. We've got a bunch now. We have 80 that I sell, and
Yep.
there's more than that on the custom color page of the website. So there's like that's where they go. So custom
Mm,
colors are really tricky because they don't exist, which
okay.
sounds stupid, but like when you go into a paint place, you have a deck of like 5,000 colors and you tell them, I
Yeah.
want this color. There's a formula made for that color. It's likely you can find a color. A paint shop
Hmm.
will make a custom color, but it's pretty rare.
Yep.
Generally, out of the 200 whites that they have, you'll find a white that you like. Well,
Sure. Yep.
there didn't never existed a color line for drywall muds. So,
Yeah.
somebody
You're
wants
just
like
making it new.
yeah, somebody wants to match like Dove Wing, which is a very popular Benjamin Moore color, and also White Dove. For that matter, I've matched both of those, but like it's likely that Benjamin Moore or Sherwin-Williams color we would have done a match for, especially popular ones, and we've done.
Interesting.
So you can go on. So I had to figure out like how is this going to work? Well, I can't do it for free because it's a lot of work. We mix the color based on an entire batch of mud. I don't want to do like a little bit of mud. I want to base it on a box of mud or 3.5 gallon
Yep.
USG blue box. That's what it's based on. So you would communicate to me a color. I have one to look at today. A dude wants a custom color. He's got a builder because as a
Hmm.
painter, so you have sometimes a designer has to have
Oh yeah.
Dove Wing. It's got to be Dove Wing. It can't be like a color that's close. So once you communicate to me that, I will go and look. I'll look at a color and be like, hey, Jeff, we've got a color that's close to this. Does it have to be exact, or do you think, this is two steps off, man? And with fresco, it's pretty chill because they're all earth tones. So
Yep.
it's not like paint where it's really stark and the room looks green when you're done. They're all really easy to use. So it's also challenging because that color doesn't live on the website.
Mm.
So not only do we have to, so when you pay $125 for a custom color or 150, whatever, you get a board with that swatch taped to it. I send that to you and you get a color pack. So you get to make a whole batch of that color with your purchase.
I like that.
After
Yeah.
that, the color lives on the custom color page. Like that's why we created that page is so then into the future, like if you need to order multiples of that
Hmm.
color, you can, and then okay, so it lives there. You got to do a patch 5 years from now. Now you can get that color. You can order it. Sometimes people, and I've never had somebody not like a color that I've made, so I'm pretty good
Hmm.
at matching. Then after that, like sometimes people will just order like a color based on a Sherwin-Williams color. And I say Sherwin-Williams and Benjamin Moore because I have a deck in my office.
Yeah, and those are big boys, so they're easy to work
Yeah,
with.
yeah. Or, sometimes people will choose Home Depot, but like I have to go there and get the swatch. It's a pain in the ass. But like like I cut it out and I have all the colors, and then we have to keep track of that color. We have to keep track of the formula. We have to make a label for it. Like the whole works. It's a pain, but I think it's important, especially for I think we have the most efficient system of any plaster. Like
How is it like a paint shop where you're just like squeezing out the base colors, or how does that work?
I keep that part sort of a secret, like what's in the
All right.
bottle. I just call it, it's fine. I just call it color, but it's a formulated color per 3.5 gallons of mud. And you can use 4.5 gallons or whatever. As long as you're using the same mud, you're going to get a
Yep.
consistent
Is it
formula.
like a paint shop in the sense that though, where you spin, like you have all your colors?
It's kind of
Like,
like that. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
You
interesting. I never
have
thought about that.
base colors. But yeah, I never thought about it either. But when I first started out, it was like dumping color into a bucket of mud, and people will be like, "Oh, that's all you're doing," and it's like, "Well, yeah, but it's got to
Yeah.
be it's got to be formulated." And then people are like, "Well, why don't you make a big vat of that color?" And it's like, "Well, you can't really do that because you have to have because you got to get all that color out of the bottle. That's why it's key.
Yeah.
That formula is key from batch to batch. I'm isolating the color, whereas if you go to a paint shop, they will pull that color into a white base, and they have different bases
They do.
when they
Yeah,
go to
they do.
mix, they'll have richer or lighter bases for the color that they're using, which is kind of interesting. But
It is. Now I'm
essentially,
thinking about it now as you describe it.
I'm using the mud like a base,
Hmm.
a paint. But that's different. And then people will also be like, "Oh, he's just dumping paint in." It's like, no, paint's already been diluted with the base. So you don't want to use paint, in your mud. If you're listening, like you can, it'll color it, but not like other colors will color it. There's different stuff that I use. And then, trying to figure that out would be kind of tricky. But, people color mud with, you know, chalk
Yeah.
or
I
whatever.
saw that recently. I saw
Yeah.
somebody doing that, and I was thinking, won't that be hard to like? Because sometimes the chalk, I forget, I think it's the blue. Sometimes you go to prime it, and the primer doesn't really like covering it. Um, so I was like, I guess
People,
you would
there's
have
a
to do
lot of
that.
theories. There's a lot of theories around it. Like people will say the blue chalk works better than the pink chalk or
Yeah.
whatever. But honestly, I don't know. I think that, they have the never miss stuff. And then people also mistake what I do for never miss.
I
They're
don't think
like,
I've heard of that one either. What do they
it's
do?
like a bottle of color that's specifically designed to color your mud for touch up.
Ah, okay. Yep. Yep.
But I think
Okay.
it's just some type of pigment.
It
It's
probably
like
is. I
it's
mean,
like you could use really anything. You could use food coloring if you want.
well, what I like about using pigments, or we'll call it concentrated colors, is when you're
Yeah.
using the paint, like you said, you're getting so much more. So who's to say the paint you're using is going to behave the way you think it will when you mix it with all the mud?
Yeah, the pain is all
Nobody knows.
it's going to have a negative impact, especially the amount that you have to use. For my richer
Yeah.
colors, I have to use a larger amount. So if you have
Ah.
a really rich color, we have 8 ounce, 16 ounce, and 32 ounce.
Oh, I did
So
not realize that.
yeah. So if you do like we have a color called Midnight Dave. It was made for Dave up in Napa Valley. Like cool
Yep.
guy. He's ordered a couple custom colors, but Midnight Dave is funny. And then we get to come up with funny names also
I like that one.
after the people that we make the color for. So Midnight Dave's kind of funny. We have Cam's Ice Cold Ice after the great Cameron Brown, and Cam's Red Red Wine.
Okay.
Like those.
I
So
like that, the personal touch.
so all of the colors are named after clients
Hmm.
in general, or something that signifies that color. It's a lot of fun to name colors, but Midnight Dave is the blackest black that we do, and it's a 32 ounce color because there's so much color that you have to use for that batch of mud.
Hmm.
It consumes more than a 16-ounce bottle.
That's good to
So
know. My tile guy wants to try it.
yeah,
And he wants it, midnight black, midnight Dave. So
yeah,
we'll be
it's
trying that one.
popular. It's popular, but it's more expensive. Like, so it would take like 200 JJ Ashes to make
Hmm.
one Midnight Dave. So the Midnight Dave's like 70 some dollars,
Hmm.
72, I think. But it's like concentrated, like
It's still cheaper than paint.
unlike I think even those, it would get more expensive if you were doing a large volume of area with Midnight Dave because you're like at 72 versus, and then the custom colors I think start at 70 or 24. So they're
Yep.
more than the signature color series,
Hmm.
which are 20. So there's a couple of tiers of price point, and then the
Yep.
16 ounces are like $46 or something like that. But we have Galtiero steel, really beautiful green called Hunt Club. you
Okay.
know, like those colors
I
are
do want to try a green as well. My
they're
wife would
be
like that.
I would do Hunt Club. It's so pretty. Like and it's got like some phthalo blue in it, which is like
Oh, okay.
it's like a teal, you know. It's got like a little hint of teal. It's so
Hmm.
pretty. But like
Yeah,
you get into
I would try that.
the richer colors, like they like jump off the wall, you know. But the good thing is that the colors are all very user friendly. So the most that we sell is whites, lighter colors, of course, just like paint, you know.
Yeah, everybody wants, I always hear it, oh, well, I don't want to have trouble selling my house. And it's like, well, what about when you're living in it for the next 10 years? Like, do you want to enjoy your home? Or do you just want to think about when somebody else is going to buy it?
Right,
Because I
right,
look at it like no matter what, somebody's going to come in and repaint this anyways. Or maybe they'll just keep doing the same thing. Everybody paints it gray because they're worried about resale.
right.
But most people I find whatever the color is, they come in and they do what they want to do. Same thing with the
Yeah,
bathrooms. People always worry about, how to remodel it for sale. At the end of the day, I can't tell you how many times we go into a house and they're like, "Oh, I wish that they hadn't done anything so that we could have done it the way we wanted to and not
right.
paid for what they did." Um, but also like accent walls.
Yeah,
I think that's like a really good use case for it.
yeah.
Um, we're starting to see like we have that same issue here where everything was white for so long. Then it
Hmm.
was, everything was white, but everything was gray and white. And now I would say in the last year, maybe year and a half, I'm starting to get more like kind of color drenching of rooms, a couple lime wash jobs.
Hmm.
Not, I've only done two, but we're starting to kind of venture down that where people are asking. So
Cool.
I'm happy to show them, your product. But for the longest time, everybody was just dull, bland, boring.
Yeah.
Did not want to stray off the reservation. So
Yeah.
it's nice to have, some life, some color.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't realize when we first painted here at our condo, and I never paint for myself, right? So I
Right.
imagine your home is filled with fresco, but I don't work for myself, and so I never appreciate how the client actually
Uh,
feels when they come into the
right.
space and it's new, right? So I
Yeah.
got to experience that, and I was like, oh, I get it. This feels like a
Yeah.
whole new home now.
Yeah.
But living in it is better than living for somebody else, is kind of my thought. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about I don't want to call it your finisher, the top coat, the sealers.
Yeah.
So you just trowel apply that, correct?
Hmm.
So that part's
We do have a spray applied sealer. I took it down off the website
Mhm.
because people were using it wrong. And they were getting like upset. You know, they're like, "Hey, we I tried to sponge this stuff off. It's dripping on me." You know, but it's a liquid,
Yeah.
and it's specifically made to spray. Like
Hmm.
if you're doing ceilings, you could spray it out. And I was working with Cam on that. Chad Hasser has done a couple jobs where he's played around with it. And
Hmm.
there's finishes where we're working on expeditious finishes where you can do spray out the base coat with like a Mark V fog,
Yep.
and then you trowel your second coat. Use a Muddskip, trowel it as smooth as you can with like a sanded finish. Looks
Hmm.
gorgeous, like micro cement, and then you could spray seal the rest of it, like in theory.
Interesting.
And super slick, super fast, looks gorgeous, and you could and I they do it here, but
Mm.
they've never sprayed out the sealer. The reason that the liquid sealer was originally made was because we had a client in Fresno that the client didn't like the sheen marks from the trowel. So when you trowel it
Yes.
on, you get like that. It looks like an ice skating rink, especially
Hmm.
on a ceiling. But a lot of people like it, and some people don't. Like you're gonna get objectivity all the
Oh yeah.
time. But
Can't please everybody.
the spray sealer is a matte, and
Hmm.
it'll actually fog that trowel coat and
Mm.
kill all those lines, which is kind
See,
of
that
cool.
part I think is cool.
Yeah,
I think that's really neat because we
yeah,
did a lime wash job recently, and in certain lighting you can see, but I guess like you're saying, a lot of people want that, but then I'm just like, well, I'd like the texture and,
right.
and the tone difference, but I don't want like, shiny spots anywhere or anything like that.
Right. Right.
Where like you lifted the brush or this or that, and
Yeah.
the way the light reflects it. So I can
Yeah.
appreciate that. That's pretty cool.
So like your ceilings that you're painting, you're still
Hmm.
doing a coat, but like theoretically, you could have on your second and third coat, you could have Patterson snow in the mud,
Yep.
and you buff out your second coat, which you're going to get modeling on that
Hmm.
coat. You just spray seal it with a sealer,
Yeah, I
and
think
and
that
you're
is
done.
cool.
You're like done.
Yeah,
You
and
don't have
you
to
don't have to
paint.
deal with it.
And like I'll add this.
Hmm.
I think it looks 10 times better than paint. That's just me. I'm biased, but that earthen trowel look, like that porcelain
Hmm.
feel, you retain that. Because when you paint over it, it's gone.
Yeah.
You lose that cool feeling of the mud. And if you can control the color, well then you can just trowel it up. Be like, hey, we do 5 colors of ceilings. If you're interested, we can do this finish. Here's a sample, or we can do paint for X amount, or we can do this and, add 20%, whatever.
Yeah, and it doesn't actually take because
It's
yeah,
faster.
because you don't have to let it dry. So
Right.
no, I'm definitely resonating with what you're saying.
Okay.
I'll make a provocative statement, but as a painter,
Okay,
I
sure.
don't generally like ceilings are just flat white, right? And I don't like
Sure.
that. I feel like it's kind of just basic. I
Right.
like that micro cement look and feel.
Right.
I don't know what I would quite call it, but we'll call it like Santa Fe inspired architecture,
Yeah.
where yeah, I can't think of quite the exact word, but you know what I'm suggesting. It's got that Western feel. It's cozy. It's earthen. It feels like you're
Yeah.
not in some synthetic built home wrapped in
Correct.
latex.
Exactly.
So, I would definitely love to show people that it's just a matter of my customers. Everybody's like, well, you
Yes.
gotta have it. We gotta have it for, when we sell. And it's like, well, we'll see. You should live in
Yeah.
it, as I said. But I do know in my house, it's very calming. I like the swirls. I like the pattern. I also
Right.
like, with what we do, there's so much skim coating, level 5, as you call it. And we're just chasing the dragon, trying to make it perfect. There's a certain beauty in the imperfection.
Right.
And as you go up that spectrum and you're just trying to get it as perfect as you possibly can, which I think we're getting very close, but I don't think it's ever truly achievable. We're working
Right.
with imperfect mediums. Muddskip makes it a lot better. Fresco
Yeah.
makes, the micro cement appearance a lot
Well,
easier.
and but one challenge with that is that too, the smoother you get, any imperfection stands out more.
Oh
So
yeah, it's the dragon.
now you're battling like a patch, or
You're
you got to
battling
go corner to corner
everything.
on the paint
Yeah,
because the
you're
paint
battling everything.
everything. Yeah,
Everything.
yeah.
It's
And
a
so
war.
I mean, part of the system of fresco harmony was to thwart that like idea or that paradigm that you have to
Mhm.
have a perfectly flat wall. I'm like, no. Why? Why is like popcorn okay, but then you have to have this like perfectly flat wall? Why can't you just
I
have
agree.
something that's sort of smooth, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's just nature isn't flat, right? It's got
Right,
variation,
right,
imperfections. I think of like bark on trees, you're walking through the woods.
right.
That's what's missing in so many of our homes, especially these newer homes, not to just rank on them, but
Yeah,
they don't feel lived in. They're kind of cold. There's
yeah.
no connection to the outdoors. Um, and it is kind of comical. We're putting gypsum board with sometimes MDF, not supposed to, but I've seen it
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah,
bathrooms and all these things in a room.
yeah,
And then you just splash water everywhere,
yeah.
and people want to feel like their bathroom is their sanctuary or whatever. But I say make it a sanctuary in the sense that bring in, you don't go to a spa and end up in a bathroom that looks like yours at home, right?
No, they have
They
that
bring
cool.
in outdoor earthy elements,
Yeah,
things like that,
they'll do those
texture.
micro finish,
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm very much so in line with that. I can, and for anybody listening, the Copper Mountain in my little foyer hallway ceiling, it looks great. I've gotten a lot of compliments.
nice.
I'm embarrassed to say I started it a while ago and there's still some yellow tape up, but the plumber sink always leaks. So
Yeah, that's
you
right.
can relate to that.
I
But
like it, and that's the hippie. That like little bit of hippie in Jeff that's creeping out there. That
Yes.
long
Well,
hair
that
hippie.
and
Yeah,
just I like to feel like I'm in nature, and
yeah,
not living in, a plastic box, basically.
right,
So I can really speak to like what you're saying. It's a nice look. And the mud skip makes it so just, if you're thinking, oh, texture work is hard or fresco is hard because you're making a pattern or whatnot, with the mud skip, it just rolls right off the trowel in a good
right,
way. Doesn't roll onto
right.
the floor. It just onto the wall, goes where you want, stays where you want it to. You can do the wet on wet coats.
It's
And the thing
unfolding
I love
too.
is,
I keep learning more about it. Like the
oh
more
yeah.
I keep using it with the color, it just keeps like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I didn't think it would do that, and so it keeps exposing itself,
Now, I did want to ask you a question because so the thing everybody loves about Mudskip is the wet on wet coats. So a lot of people just use, no hot mud anymore. I still use quite a bit of hot mud for, I'll call it rapid patches, weird things like that. The Mudskip certainly can handle it, but if two coats in an hour is good, I want two coats in 10 minutes type of thing.
Right,
So,
right.
I'm still chasing that spectrum as well. But what I wanted to ask you is, have you ever done, or had the need, like, what is it like to patch with Fresco? Or is there ever a
Sure.
thought where you're using hot mud with it or Durabond if you're in an area where you want like
No. Well,
lots of
well, I'll
strength
take it.
or a
I take
hard
it back.
surface?
I take it back. Sometimes if I go and do a patch, I'll want to speed up the patch. So I'll throw a little quick set in with
Hmm.
like the colored mud and I can speed
Yep.
up a patch that way, but I have to be careful because it'll throw the color a little bit. And
Okay,
then
interesting.
then you're getting color drift. So I'll tell you the same thing that I tell everybody that patches with multicolored surfaces are going to be more challenging than like a painted patch.
True.
You're
Yeah.
dealing with making the patch look like the texture or the smooth surface. I'm dealing
Hmm.
with blending. And so
Yeah.
I use the sealer will make that joint cold. So I sponge off the sealer coat a lot with wet
Hmm.
water. And then I also I can use the match paint. So each color that I have match painted at a local paint shop. So I can take a little bit of the match paint and I can faux out some of those cold joints
Ah.
when I go to do a patch, which is like fauxing, which is kind of
Yep.
interesting. So I've done that before. Lighter colors patch better than darker colors.
Go figure.
But also, what I tell people is that, like, if I have to redo a wall, it's not the end of the world. And a lot of
Yeah.
times, I'll just opt to reskim and reseal the wall with Fresco, so I don't
Yep.
have to come back and deal with the client not being happy with like a little patch. But it also depends on where the patch is on the wall. Like
Yeah.
if I can disguise it with an outlet and like a windowsill, then I can like just do a small section. If it's
Hmm.
like right in the middle of a wall and it's it's an outlet, box that got buried or opened up, then wow, maybe I have to redo, just reskim the wall. It's going to take me 20 minutes longer to reskim the wall and reseal it than
Yeah, with the wet on wet, you'll be in and
the,
out.
and then battling the patch. So, and where I've seen the wet on wet work best with Muddskip is the
Hmm.
sealer. So when I'm putting on the second coat with the
Yep.
conditioner, you get the compression, you get the layered compression with the two
Yep.
colors, but then it's not dry yet. So I'm going over it with that wet acrylic, high viscosity acrylic trowel on sealer. That compresses it even
Interesting.
further. So not only is it sanding, it's compressing those two layers with a sealer, with a clear
Oh,
acrylic, and the edge of your blade because it's
yes.
it's it's doing all three. It's reactivating the mud.
Hmm.
It's compressing it with the edge of your blade,
Hmm.
and it's sealing it. Unlike water, so mine's
Interesting. So
yeah,
you're able to do that, like in reality, let's say I've just got, for example, a 10 by 10 accent wall. You could be done that really quickly, like in a morning, like
yeah,
start to finish.
yeah. Especially if it's new construction, I have a
Hmm.
builder that wants just fireplace and hood.
Hmm.
Theoretically, I can go out there and bust all three coats in one day. Generally, what I'll do is I'll go out, prep it, do the base coat, and leave. And then I tend to rush the second coat more
Okay.
because it's thinner and it's drying quicker. So I can second coat the fireplace, go second coat the hood, come back, seal the fireplace, seal the hood, pull the masking. And a job like that, literally, I have invested 6 hours.
Yeah,
And
you're knocking through it. I didn't realize so you could do the sealer at the end while it's still wet. That is pretty genius.
well, and it works better with the Muddskip. Like
Yeah,
I would always recommend people let it dry fully, but that concept is shifting.
yeah.
And I have to, that's why I have to vet a product a lot because it's like, oh, it's changing not just the colored mud and my system, which is different than a normal drywall system, but it's changing the sealer system, which took me 6 years to develop.
I gotta try that. In fact, I'm gonna go when we when we're done. I've got that Copper Mountain left. I'm gonna go try that because
Yeah.
I can see the immediate advantages to being able to, you're getting ready to finish the day. Oh, when are you coming back tomorrow to whatever? Oh no, we're done. Oh wow,
Yeah.
great, right?
With the popcorn ceilings or whatever. I am always seeing people do popcorn ceilings and I'm like, oh, that should always be fresco. Like it's not even a question of my, because it looks better, it's
Yeah.
faster, you're done, you're out of there.
Well, the thing I like about it is, as you know, you're more than likely you're skimming it anyways. So if you can, get somebody to live a little, put some color in there. And then we are using the Mark V to lay down our skim coat.
Right.
So that's just, I mean, that part's easy, right? You get your
Yeah.
base coat on, and then you just go back, and we'll call it we hand apply for the texture. But
Yep.
then if I can spray the sealer at the
Yep.
end as well.
Yeah.
Now, one question, can you spray the sealer and then like work it in with the trowel as well?
Yeah. So I've never sprayed it. I've only used like a squirt bottle and troweled it off.
But even like those people, like would they just spray it, or you could in theory spray then work it in if you wanted some differences
You
of
could,
tone?
in theory, spray and then work it in, but I'm thinking like an entire house. Like, so I'm thinking like, just blow it out. But
Yeah.
the dudes that did the houses that in Albuquerque that I'm talking
Mhm.
about, they use a Mark V, spray the base coat in a half a day, like a fog to cover the
Yep.
butts and bands. And then over that, they did the sanded texture, and then they sealed it with they troweled the sealer.
Yeah. Now the sealer,
It's more substantial when you trowel it. When you
okay.
use the thin sealer, it's not going to be as durable. You're going to get less sheen, but just like anything with gloss, the glossier it is, the more protection.
Yes, that was my thought too, with asking you about the Easy Sand as well, or Durabond. If you need like a super durable high traffic area for like a hallway, is there any logic to using one of those?
Multiple coats of sealer is going to be your best bet, or your gloss is
Okay.
going to be your most durable. I recommend gloss in bathrooms.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. And that's something you can do multiple coats of sealer. Some people maybe
Yeah.
in a bathroom you do it every year or something like that.
Yeah. 2 coats of the gloss will bead water. Like it's
Oh
that
wow.
strong. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. All right, that's two things that like cross my mind is, where I'm going to use it. Powder rooms, a lot of times, probably bathrooms, like you're
Yeah.
saying, we're bringing
Yeah.
the outdoors inside. I could see dining rooms, kitchen backsplashes, stuff like that too.
Right.
Um, I'd love to get people to do it on ceilings because I don't have to worry about dings or dents because nobody ever touches the
Right.
ceiling.
That's where the
Um,
spray sealer and Chad's worked on it. I mean, you could have a conversation with Chad about
yeah, I'll have to
his
reach out to
his
them.
experience like spraying the sealer. And honestly, when Cam died, he was working on that because they did a lot of in Ohio. They were doing lots of
Hmm.
ceilings, and we had the same conversation. And he was testing spraying because he's an innovative dude, and he was like testing out the theory. And it's kind of
Yeah.
like a calculated risk, really, especially if you're good with a sprayer.
Well, it's worth exploring because the thing that I find is more than anything else, people want their home back. So if it's a new build, it doesn't matter as much. But if you're in somebody's home, if you can give them, an absolutely killer product, but you're done 20, 30% faster than anybody else, that's the part that they love.
Hmm.
And whenever I rarely have people work on my home, just because I can do most of it. But let's say I need a plumber or
Yeah.
whatever. Uh, I know the guys, they're my guys. But even then, it's nice. Like, okay, when are you done?
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
and that's my friend. So I couldn't imagine, having like I give our
Yeah.
customers for all of us a lot of grace. They have
Yeah.
essentially random strangers come into their home. They bring in their crew. They
It's
work there.
uncomfortable.
Exactly. So
And then
it's
you have these
it's
dipshits too. They're taking twice as long because they're starting
yeah.
four projects. So you're dealing with the frustration of the other trades that are taking longer than they have
Oh,
to.
sure.
The
Yeah.
pressure falls on the shoulder of the drywall guy to get through there and get out of there.
And it's interesting you mentioned that because this all kind of ties in together, but that's one reason we do the painting and the drywall. You don't have to wait in between trades.
There you
But
go.
then another element is I have found in the last year, and this would probably resonate with people, but we're moving at such a faster pace, with the Muddskip and with all the other equipment we have. Other trades, they're like kind of thrown off. I don't want to say they can't keep up with us, but they're like, okay, they're at this point, they're gonna let it dry, sand, blah blah blah. And it's like, no man, like we're done. You can't use me as an excuse. You gotta get back there and do what you gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
So there's almost an adjustment period where, like
Yep.
to your point, people think that we're gonna, hold up the train, but now, we're leading the train. And so that issue's gone, and now we're discovering how many other bottlenecks there are. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, we can't solve all of them.
Yeah.
But
No, that's a good point. I'm always trying to expedite the project. And there's no shame or in having ideas. The
yeah,
last project that we were on with Drywall Jesse and Mike Drees Drywall, they came to help me out in this big remodel.
hmm
And the tile guy was in the bathroom. Well, he hadn't started the floor yet. And I was like, well, we're getting done here. Mike and Jesse are going to be in town 3 more days. Dude, Robbie, why don't you pull out of that bathroom? Let us just bust those walls really quick. Now we don't have to mask off the floor. We're not messing
yeah,
up the tile. The tile guy's fine with it. He wants to take a break. He's out of there. We bust out the walls. Now we don't have to come back and do the walls. The tile guy lays the tile. It just keeps the project rolling. I probably saved them 2 weeks on just one
yeah.
suggestion.
hmm
Not
And
that they
that's just it.
cared, not that the clients appreciate it, but like as contractors, I think that's our responsibility to help the job move along quicker any way that we can.
It is, and that's where you have that ghost time, for instance, with what you're doing, if you're doing the finished drywalling and you don't need to paint, all right, that's one less trade you need for walls. If you're using Muddskip, and you're painting, okay, you're gonna have a lot less cleaning. So that's that ghost time where, like I see it all the time. It's like you go into a job and like, all right, it's ready for you, and it's like, well, there's dust everywhere.
Right.
So, well, do I have to do that now? Or I've even had some people. I joke about it, but it's like it's almost like, I've had customers, they hang the drywall and it's a mess in there. And I
Yeah.
know in their head they're like, well, you're gonna make a mess anyways when you sand. And it's like, well, actually, I'm not. And then furthermore, would you like it if I left it this way for you?
Right.
And so I feel also people think in general that the drywall phase is the filthiest, but that is also going to change over time now.
I think so.
It doesn't need to be the dirtiest. You don't need to inhale tons of dust. You don't need
Right.
to change your HVAC filters. You don't need to do all sorts of stuff. It doesn't need to be this monotonous, filthy process. Um, and I've been telling people there's a little bit of disbelief, but we do most of our sanding now. I'm using 320 pads on our Planex.
Nice.
Um, and I think we were talking about that a little bit the other day, but
Uh-huh.
one thing I like about it is it leaves, it doesn't remove much material, which I don't want to do anyways, because that goes back to waste. But then because I'm not removing much material, the Planex can keep up to it really well. So there's very little dust escaping that shroud.
Okay.
So the site's cleaner, just, it's all these little minutia that add up. And then at the end of the day, the contractor, the customer, whoever it is, they're like, wow, you're done faster, cleaner, sometimes cheaper even, because I don't have to factor in 7 hours of cleaning. I'd rather get paid at a premium for the work we do and then eliminate tasks that I don't need to do. Because then I'll get more money on the back end. They say, hey, this guy's fast, he's clean, he's affordable, blah, blah, blah. That's how you stay busy. And so products like yours and theirs, that's what enables that to happen. Even just, I remember when the first Planex came out, uh, I considered it pretty terrible. Um, we went back to using 5-inch Festool orbital sanders for sanding our ceilings after, which sounds insane, but I hated having the dust. I wanted to have the smoothest finish we could get. Then they came out with the 6-inch that was really nice. We used that, and then they redid the Planex to the one with the light. And night and day, but we just, we used to use like a Porter cable sander, all this other stuff, but the dust it would throw, it just wasn't worth it. Even though it was faster, we just had so much cleanup after.
Yeah.
It was miserable. So I'm really happy that we're able to, go down this road and explore these new products. I'm excited to try the sealer too. I'm gonna see what Three
Yeah.
Coats does even.
Love it,
Um,
and I'm happy to throw you some, man, so that you can test it.
oh yeah,
We get a jug that I could send you that spray the ceiling, play around with it, and then paint the damn thing. It's
I
not gonna hurt.
definitely
It's
will.
not gonna hurt it. Like
Oh, it's
you
actually a
could do
good
it like
question.
real. You could do it like real time.
Can you, so what do you do now that we're thinking about what, let's say you've done fresco and then they want to, like, how do you change the colors with it? Like if you have the sealer on, let's say they want to change the color of
Yeah,
the fresco.
you can change colors. We've done that before. You can change colors from one to another.
Yeah.
I won't even charge if I put on the base coat and they want a little different color to the second coat. I'll be like, I won't charge, but you
Mhm.
might see a little bit of that base coat coming through. But if the colors are close, then it's okay.
Yeah.
I can change that second coat a little bit. Um, and if it's sealed, it's no big deal. You can change colors down the road. You can paint it if you don't like it.
Do you just like scuff the sealer and then go right over it with more compound if, or you
No.
just can go right over it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it's super easy. It's as easy as you'd think, but yeah, you just skim. You can do a skim coat over the top.
Mhm.
So if it's sealed and everything's done, and I have a patch, I can re-skim that wall and reseal it.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah,
It's eliminating steps. With a lot of stuff you gotta burnish it again or do this or that.
right.
So I really like that. And then I guess there's no is there any school of thought to resealing it every year or two? Like if you're in a bathroom,
No, not
just
at
touching
all.
it up,
And
just it just lasts.
I had just had a client that I was talking to on social. She
Hmm.
was like, maybe she wanted to, she was in California. She was like, maybe she wanted a little bit more movement. And I was like, oh, you can use a pearl sealer and create like a patina and get
Hmm.
some more, like a sheen out of that if you wanted to, even after it's sealed. Like, so you can continue to manipulate the surface as
Yeah, that's
long
very
as you want
cool.
to. It's super cool. Or if you wanted to smoke, we have smoke sealer that like just kind of, you know, it just kind of gives it like a depth, a little bit of depth. It's very cool.
I like that one too. Now
Yeah.
on ceilings, did you say it was the pearl is what you use on ceilings a lot?
No, just regular sealer.
No, no,
Satin.
no, sorry, the color. You said you have a pearl? Was it pearl you said?
Gallery Pearl or Patterson Snow is our two signature color series lightest colors. And because it's like
Okay.
a plaster, like an earthen finish,
Hmm.
you could have those, you could have a sample of either one of those and be like, this is a lighter one, this is a little bit darker.
Now they're not more they're like white, but they're kind of like a earthy white, maybe a little
Yeah,
taupey. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
All right, good to
Yeah, the
know.
Gallery Pearl is umber based. It just goes with everything.
Mhm.
It's awesome. It's a great color.
I think I have that name sounds familiar. I think I have that one too. I know I had the Copper Mountain.
Yeah.
I want to try a green one. Actually, my desk right now is green.
Yeah, there you go.
It's an old door that I just, that's the perks of the trade. You just
Yeah.
turn trash into treasure. But I think I definitely want to get some of the green to try. I love it. I like that type of stuff. I've been trying to explore the micro cement as well, but I find it's, that you can use on floors, outside, what have you. But
Right,
my big
right.
thing will be walls and ceilings.
Yeah.
And I guess my final thought would be, I don't know if it's pushing the envelope a little bit too much, but has anybody ever attempted to do it with like a shower surround? Like they waterproof the shower like they would with like a Schluter system for tile. And then,
No, I've done countertops, but I've
yeah,
used like a full-on two-part epoxy to cover it.
okay.
So I
Yeah.
have
So
done
you're,
that. But I
okay.
mean, if you're gonna do that, I would almost be inclined to be like use a micro cement if you're gonna do a shower enclosure
Yeah.
or a countertop or something. Use micro cement. But then if you wanted to match the rest of the bathroom, use Fresco Harmony or the
Yep.
rest of the house. They'll do Tadilac in like a bathroom, but then
That's the one I've seen that I think is really well, really intriguing. That one
yeah,
specifically. Because
yeah,
the thing that I hate most about bathrooms is there's all these different changes of plane, different mediums, and they all attract water. So it would be
right,
really nice to just kind of seal everything over, and then
right,
not have to worry about water sitting here or there. Um,
right,
yeah, when I think about how we do those today, I think there's a lot of improvement for the average bathroom remodel,
right.
which hopefully we'll be working on. But it's uh it's definitely getting cleaner out there. I can say that.
Yeah, yeah,
I I think I'd be remiss not to mention when I do use Quick Mud or Durabond still for patches. The one reason I asked you how it operates with Fresco is so when you add Muddskip to your Easy Sand or your Durabond, you're really diminishing the risk of delamination. So I'm sure we've all been there with the heartbreak where you're already trying to do a patch or whatever really quick, right? That's why you got the hot mud out. And then you're doing
yeah.
coat after coat after coat, and you get to the end and it starts to fall off the wall. I think it happened like maybe 4 or 5 times to me in total. And
Hmm.
the first time it happened, I was like so confused. I never knew it was a thing or anything. But now when I, will use hot mud with Mudskip, because it has the wet on wet, you really minimize the delamination, which I never thought of. Because we always assume, hot mud you can just coat, as it sets, right? But you can coat over it, but it's not bonding well. But when you mix the mud skip in, now it's bonding well also.
Okay,
So I'll do a lot of my patches, or if I'm trying to have a low profile butt seam, I will mix, Durabond with mud skip. And this won't
okay,
speak so much to scale finishers, but if you're doing like a bathroom or something and you want like a rock solid joint, I'll do all my initial hand coding with that.
okay,
And then I'm able to rip through whether it's patches or taping or what have you. Everything's going to be set and dry probably within like 45 minutes to an hour to the point where then I could do a full level 5 skim. Maybe I even do a fresco. I don't know. Um,
yeah.
but that's what was making me think with like a high traffic zone, like a hallway, if you were able to tint like an Easy Sand 90 and you can now use it as your skim coat.
I don't because two reasons it goes
Yep.
off, and then the second reason is weight. So now I
Ah,
have to, and now I'm back to plaster.
okay.
The problem with one of the main problem with plaster is that I'm using a product that's going off. I have a limited time period to work with it,
Yep.
and the color drift from batch to batch. So one
Okay.
uncanny aspect of Fresco Harmony and using all-purpose
Hmm.
ready mix is the consistent color from batch to batch.
Okay.
Paramount. You have to have that because of if I want to go back and do the same color in a house 5 years from now, or if I have to go back 5 years from now and patch,
Hmm.
or if I just do the fireplace and then all of a sudden they want the rest of the room done in that color. It's so huge. And I
Yeah, I
had
can
no
see that.
idea. I had no idea that the color was going to be consistent the way it is.
Hmm.
When I started, I was just like, oh, you could texture and paint at the same time. That was my original idea.
Yeah.
You
Now,
know,
do you have to use the same, so like let's say you do all-purpose USG, do you have to use that when you, or let's say you go into a house and you don't know what they use, you just know that they use one of your colors. Does it relate the same with USG, Proform, other brands?
No, you're going to get a little bit of drift from brand to
Okay.
brand, even from like green top to blue top.
Yeah.
So I recommend just using the same mud
Hmm.
when you do fresco. Like whatever mud you like to texture with or do your final coat with, use
Yeah.
that. I recommend all purpose so that you can patch with it.
Is there a way to tell, like, if somebody used all-purpose or plus three, if you're going into a job to touch it up after, or you just kind of guess at that point?
I mean, I haven't ran into that scenario here, but I could get pretty damn close
Yeah.
using the plus three. So that drift is so slight, even from
Mhm.
like 3.5 gallon to 4.5 gallon.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, like the muds up in Canada are 4.5 gallon, so they're getting more material
Alright.
per batch and different brand, and
Yeah.
it's pretty close. You
Okay,
know,
so not
it's
nothing of
not.
great concern.
Yeah, so the color chart still works pretty good for those for different muds, but I always recommend making a sample for sure.
Yeah, well, that's good to know. So, because I
Yeah.
always think, like you're saying, like touch-ups, what have you. Oh, what
Yeah.
what we use for the mud? Oh, I don't know. Figure it out. And then,
Well, that's why you use the same brand, and then you don't have to like try to think about it. It's like just I really stress like use one type of mud when you're doing because it's like what I use on this job or that job, you
yeah.
know, just use what you normally use and
Now you use the plus three normally, you said?
Mhm.
So I'm just curious, what is the reasoning for that? Like, what's your preference for that?
No, it wasn't a huge. I like the mud. It's fine.
Hmm.
There's been other muds that I like better. We
Yep.
were just using Panel Ray at the training in England.
Oh,
Great
okay.
mud, great mud. I've used different muds up in Canada, but it was because it was more prevalent from region to region. The consistency,
Ah.
and accessibility. So if you're in Connecticut, you can go to Home Depot and get this blue box mud and you're going to have really good color accuracy.
Oh yeah, for sure. We have that everywhere. But even more so like for all purpose versus plus three, is there a reason you prefer the lightweight one, just easier to work with or
Yeah, it's lighter and
okay.
it has a wider base. So the all-purpose
Uh
regular has a yellower base. People drywallers don't consider color. So
yeah, okay.
you have to shift like just like the base for paint.
Yep.
Different bases for different colors. Well, I want a whiter base. I want to start with white. The favorite part of my show is the pearl of wisdom that I ask everybody to bestow on the drywall community. If you could put something on a billboard, something that you could tell your fellow tradesmen, what would you say?
Um, I was warned about this, so I gave it a little bit of thought.
Oh, good.
But what I kind of I'm stuck in between two thoughts, but I'll give you the gist, which is you never know who you're gonna meet. And what I mean by that is in the trades, your entire network is your net worth, which is an old adage, but it's really true because you can be on a bad job with somebody and you think, oh, I don't want to deal with this anymore. But then one day, you'll be needing work and your phone will ring and guess who? And, they're a big blessing that day. So that would kind of be my sage advice is you don't know who you're going to meet and, treat everybody the way you'd want to be treated because what goes around does come around. And there have been many times where I think, something has, the ship has sailed and it comes in to rescue me. And for that, I'm super grateful. And, and I guess the second thought would be kind of just pull the thread. And when I met with Sheila and all you guys and Richard and everybody down there in Charlotte back in, I think it was first week of April. I was kind of on the fence. I was like, I've been invited to come down. I don't know these people. Why should I go to a drywall show? Like, what do I know type of thing. But I just pulled the thread and now I'm here today with you guys. I've learned a lot along the ways. And that's how you do it. You have to take the leap, but then once you have those relationships, take care of them because you don't know when they need you or you need them. And really, it's all relationship building. So many things are short-sighted nowadays. I'll just get it done. The homeowner will take care of it, or this or that, or get it
Right.
on the market. So building something that lasts is rare and very valuable, is what I would say. But really, just sometimes I sit back now and I think, where it was a year ago, and now I have all these new people I know, new things we're trying, and
Yeah.
you never know who you'll meet. That's all I can say is I just keep going back to that one thought.
Love
Um,
it.
so that's where
This
I'm at.
This has been a pretty technical episode. A lot of good information, man. I think, from both sides, you're asking really good questions about fresco harmony. We really dove into the whole conversation of the Muddskip. We touched on your history, so I think it's a good episode, very thorough. I think this is a drywallers episode for sure.
But
You
it's not
know,
dry.
Nah, not anything but dry. Jeff Hays of Porcelain Perfect Finish
Yeah, I like that one.
out
PPF.
of out of
So
out of
I gotta give you
Hartford,
credit for that.
out of
So
Hartford,
every
Connecticut.
lead you're gonna get 5 cents.
Dude,
So
I would have never. Well, and I'll say this: like 151 episodes in, we've never come up with a name for somebody's company on the show. So that if you do go with Porcelain Perfect Finish, it will be
I think it's honestly we've been stuck, I'll put it this way, my name is a cop out, right? So I just always keep going back to my name. Like, what are you? Oh, Hains, Jeff Hains.
Yeah, Hains Drywall. Yeah,
But
sure.
I do like the Porcelain Perfect Finish because it lends to more than just drywall or painting. It
Yeah.
also includes carpentry, which we do a little of. So I really
Ah,
like that one. I do
and
like that.
the alliteration does not escape. It's like
No,
good.
I can
Rolls
see it
off the
now.
tongue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it rolls off the tongue. The lettering will be cool. So I definitely give you credit for that. I won't forget that. We're gonna
very
use it, I
cool.
think. So just gotta
Um,
print it now. It is funny, like you said. I didn't come into this episode thinking I'd be leaving with the answer to a question that's plagued us for years. So thank you very much.
the drywall podcast abides. Thank you so much for coming on today, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar. I appreciate. I mean, it's been great talking to you. First of all, you're very knowledgeable, and you're well spoken, which I appreciate on here. And just a pleasure, man. And I hope we get to hang out
Likewise.
soon. I'll send you some product you can do some demo and play around with. And sure,
Sweet.
what size are you?
Ooh,
Large?
varies. Let's do XL. Let's do extra large.
XL?
So
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
unless they're those Duluth Trading Co. ones where it's like
No,
a
they're the baseball shirt. They kind of run small, so I think XL would be
yeah.
better.
Let's do an XL then. Yeah, let's do an
Okay.
XL. So
All right, sir.
all right. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, you have a good rest of your day. We'll talk soon.
All right. Take care now.
Bye. Huge shout out to Jeff for being with us on the Drywall Podcast today. You, sir, are a gentleman and a scholar, and I appreciate your time and energy and all of that valuable knowledge that you just brought to the show. See how easy it is, everybody? Maybe you will be the next interviewee on the Drywall Podcast. If you are interested, you can reach out to me at info@frescoharmony.com. I'd love to hear from you, and I know our listeners would love to hear from you as well. This episode of the Drywall Podcast was brought to you by Muddskip. Muddskip is a drywall additive that you can add to all-purpose joint compound and create a surface that you can do wet on wet coats with. There's a lot more information about it, though. I've heard some amazing feedbacks from industry leaders who use Muddskip and are touting their accolades every day, but you don't have to take my word for it. You can find out more by visiting their website at www.muddskip.com. Also, you can catch my episode with owner Sheila Cross on episode 120. It's really good. Sheila is an awesome person, and it answers a lot of questions. So go check it out. You've got a lot of choices when you head over to that radio to choose something to listen to, but today you chose the Drywall Podcast. listening to me and Jeff rattle on about the dynamics of joint compound and whatnot. It was fun. I had fun. I hope you had fun. And there is going to be a show next week. If you tune in Friday, Mike Tape Tech, or Michael Gonzalez, is going to be donning the Drywall Podcast with his presence. He's kind of a badass 52-year-old from Toronto, and he was a lawyer in Cuba. So tune in for that. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend or week or whatever you're doing. And remember, keep drywalling.